Board will now reconvene in open session at
8:29 p.m.
To now take any action, decision, or vote on matter deliberated in closed session. I'll now entertain any motions from closed session.
Mr. President, I make a motion to accept Dr. Nathan Balasubramanian's resignation.
I have a motion from Ms. Cortez to accept Dr. Balasubramanian's resignation. All in favor?
Do you have a second?
Oh, do I have a second? I have a second from Ms. Thomas. All in favor? 4. All opposed? Oh. Let the record show 4. 2 opposed. I'll entertain a motion for the next item.
President, I'd like to make a motion to abate the grievance pending the outcome of the TEA investigation of the same matter to item D.
I have a motion from Mr. Velasco to abate. Do I have a second? I have a second from Ms. Thomas. All in favor? All abstain? All against? All against. Let the record show that 4, 2 abstain. Got it? I'm just asking. Just one more. One more.
The other teachers.
Oh. I didn't write that one down. Okay. Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to accept the resignation as discussed in closed session.
I have a motion from Mr. Velasco. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second from Ms. Cerner. All in favor? Rick show. Yeah. The entire group.
Ms. Cerna.
I think that completes the business that we need to handle there, so we'll get back to the regular board meeting. Yes, sir.
Don't we have to do the administrators and the other?
FYIs?
There wasn't.
I don't think there were any.
There wasn't.
There was no new positions added.
I mean, but don't we have to accept the modifications or, no?
I think so. I think so.
I think everything else was.
Yeah, we're good.
Are we good?
We're good.
All right. We'll now move on to information items. Board, I've got a request to move information item F up in front. We have a guest presenter that would like to present so we can get them on the road. Everybody good with that?
We need to take a vote on that.
Could I have a vote to move information item F in front of A?
I make a motion to do so.
A motion for Ms. Cortez. Got a second for Mr. Samaripa. All in favor? All right, we'll now move item F. In front will be Manor Schoolhouse Foundation grants presentation.
Good evening again. This evening, the Manor Schoolhouse Foundation has some exciting news to report. With us tonight, Manor Schoolhouse Foundation Board President Lissa Adams and our Vice President Michael Griffith are here this evening to provide an update. As you know, the work over the past 2 years wouldn't have been possible with the outstanding support of the 28 board members, its investors, and all of you, the Board of Trustees. Without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Adams and Mr. Griffith, who'll update you on the progress of the foundation and the grant funding.
Thank you, Becky. Good evening, trustees and Dr. Avery. My name is Lissa Adams, and I'm the board president of the Manor Schoolhouse Foundation. It's good to see you all this evening. And we had Michelle Glaze and Felix Pies, in addition to Michael Griffith, in the audience from our foundation. We appreciate the opportunity to give you a few updates, some very exciting updates, and celebrate some of those successes with you tonight. We really are truly living out our mission of partnering with the community to provide resources, maximize innovative practices, and supporting teaching and learning for all students in Manor ISD in direct alignment with the district's goals. It is very refreshing to be a part of a board of 28 active and involved board members that are made up of parents, grandparents, community stakeholders, business partners, trustees, and the superintendent, who are all really working for the same mission, which is to support students and teachers in Manor ISD. And we certainly wouldn't be where we are without the leadership and hard work of our foundation director, Becky Lott. She is an amazing example of servant leadership, and we are so fortunate to have her at the helm. Let us cheer. She told us not to make a production. We sincerely appreciate the support from all of you and the teachers, administration, and our community, and I am so very proud of all that we have accomplished together in just a very short time. I'm very excited for Michael Griffith to share some details of some of our recent success and accomplishments, and so without further ado, I'll introduce Michael Griffith, our Vice President of Finance and Governance.
Mr. Fisher, Dr. Avery, and all trustees, very good to see you this evening. I'm not going to talk about Breakthrough once. Oops, I already did. So sorry. I'm only here to talk about the Manor Schoolhouse Foundation and its remarkable work. So I'm going to throw some numbers at you. Last year, in our inaugural year, we awarded 33 grants to educators across the district, and we were pretty pumped about that. It equaled $25,000 of investment. This year, we have increased that number to 68 grants, totaling $67,229. We did that because of this incredible board that Lissa just talked about, and Becky, and because of your support and guidance to make this possible. We are going to be going on a prize patrol, loading up the vans, going around. Last year, thank you so much, Mr. Samaripa, for coming. Mr. Fisher came, Ms. Cortez came. It was really fun, so talk to your fellow trustees. They might get some positive peer pressure for you to join. The dates are, I see you writing it down right now, December 5th and December 6th. We have to do 2 days because too many grants to give out. But if you want to see teachers cry with happiness and students jump for joy and pride of their teachers, join the Prize Patrol. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, let me get some more specifics about what it's about. We have included the scope of our grants to be around different categories: project-based learning, fine arts, academic and educational enrichment, social-emotional learning, parent education, innovative teaching, physical health, student leadership development. You'll notice a lot of these things are mapped exactly to the goals of the district and what you're trying to accomplish on behalf of the students. We had some amazing projects. I couldn't list them all. There's 68, right? Out of a pool of 157 grant applications. Our goal is to increase the number next year and the number that apply and we award so that we can bring even more resources to the district. But here's some really cool ones. We had a Special Olympics Young Athletes program, so we can do that good work with deserving young people We had a coding for pre-K coding. This is amazing.
Wow.
District of Innovation. Air tracks for physics demonstrations and laboratory investigations, so we can have real STEM learning happening in the district. And field trips for career and educational explorations. An example, some of the examples of many, many, many great grants that we're awarding that you'll get to see when you come out on December 5th and 6th. 74 people and businesses have invested in Manor Schoolhouse Foundation so far in this year, and we're not going to stop to get more investors so that, again, we can increase the number of grants and increase the amount of investment back in the district. But we're also not going to stop there. Two other very new cool things that have happened. We have new grants of $100 each for those individuals in the district to foster our culture of innovation. It's what the district is about, and we're personally recognizing and honoring as a board of 5 individuals who are promoting that. So look for those to be recognized at board meetings, and they receive $100 gift cards. And then lastly, we are starting a brand new thing called the Campus Opportunity Grant. It's going to be up to the discretion of Dr. Avery and the district to decide where this open use of funds to be best used by the district of an amount of up to $10,000 that this board is allocating, and we're going to be in conversation with Dr. Avery about what that means and where that should go. So that's pretty cool. That's all the data I got for you. What do you think? Pretty cool? All right. Thank you very much for letting us be here and for supporting Manor Schoolhouse Foundation. We're so grateful to you all.
Thank you.
So I will have to be in the Pikes Patrol in spirit because, you know, I'm an elementary school teacher, so the way that life is set up, they won't let me take off to go past. But,
Yes.
and crop me in on. Yeah. I'm very proud.
We truly
you.
want to thank you all for all the hard work and dedication. It was a pleasure last year and very filling to see us reward teachers, you know, for what the hard work that they're doing and going above and beyond just, their 14-hour days, right? So I'm excited about December 5th and 6th. I will be there all day, all right, and ready to go. So thank you all for your hard work.
Yes, thank you again. It was very rewarding, very exciting, and every board member that is there gives so much, always wanting to help and bringing investors. Thank you very much, Becky, Lessa, Michael, and everybody else. This is just amazing. Looking forward to the 2 days. I do also plan to be there those full 2 days. Thank you, guys.
All right. So now we'll move on to information item A, Student Education 5-Year Strategic Plan. Ms. K.K. Owens.
Good evening. You guys have already had a long night, haven't you?
Yes.
I'm about to make it a little bit longer. So President Fisher and Dr. Avery and members of the board, thank you for having me back tonight. I haven't been with you guys in a good while, so we thought it was time to do an update on our strategic plan because we are halfway through. We are halfway. We are 2.5 years into the 5-year plan. So we want to talk about tonight a review of the process, how we got here, and really to answer 2 important questions. Are we doing what we said we would do, what we've promised to all of the people who participated in the process? And how are we doing along the way? Are we keeping that promise to them? So we will get started. Quickly, let's review what is a strategic plan, why do we need one, and how did we go about putting this one together? A strategic plan is a long-range vision for success. The vision has some really important pieces to make it work. That is, it must be inclusive of everybody, all the stakeholders in that community, from the students to the parents to the employees to the leaders, to the board, the community. It must be a very inclusive process. And that happened here in Manor. And throughout all of that inclusive work, we come up with that vision. How are we going to achieve? Where do we want to be? Most importantly, asking the question of those stakeholders, how do you define success? What do you want your strategic plan to say? So this informed decision-making process is extremely transparent and extremely inclusive. And so I brought back a few of the numbers tonight to share with you, to remind all of us of the hard work that went into this 2.5 years ago. So we listened to all of the stakeholders, and that listening really meant accepting everyone's vision and then working together to narrow that down to what was actually doable in 5 years. We also spent time talking about what a strategic plan is not. It's not everything to everybody. It's not everything we do. A lot of the day-to-day work of a district is exactly that, the day-to-day work. We call that the 80-20 rule. 80% of what we do is really our job, our tasks, our work every day. 20% is that move to make us better. Instead of just standing still, that 20% of what we do moves us down the road. Because it's just 20%, it's got to be extremely targeted and very focused. So this is not a detailed plan that lines out everything that's going to happen over 5 years. It's the big ideas. It's the vision. So that's what we work toward when we put the plan together. So how is it built? It starts with an environmental scan, a deep dive into the data. So that happened 2.5 years ago, early in 2017. What do we already do well? Where are we already successful? And what are our opportunities for improvement? So those were the conversations that we began to have. We used focus groups and stakeholder surveys to gather as much data, as many dreams and visions from as many stakeholders as possible. The steering committee did the work in the middle, the aim forward. They took all of that data, waded through it, and it was a lot, and began to find the commonalities, to begin to narrow that down. What do most of the people want? What's the vision of most of the stakeholders? And then they took that and built a draft. And then over on the far right, the last part of the process was taking that draft back out to the people. In Manor, that meant town hall meetings and employee forums where everybody got to look at the draft, and we asked 2 really important questions. What resonates with you about the plan, and what is missing? Those were the 2 questions we asked all the stakeholders to answer. And then all of that data went back to the steering committee. They made final revisions and brought the plan forward to the board in June of 2017. So that's where we started. Trip down memory lane. This is what the steering committee work looked like. Notice they have a lot of stuff in front of them. They were doing a very deep dive, taking a critical look at everything that was available to start to pull out the most common pieces. The focus group process was really important too, working with kids, working with parents and community members, asking them to define success. What was their dream for Manor in 5 years? Just as an example, this is one day of the work. This happens to be March 21st, 2017. Where 8 different focus groups took place, 8 different sets of stakeholders, to gather together all the pieces and parts so that everyone felt heard and included in the process. Here are some of the statistics from the strategic plan survey. It was highly inclusive, it was very extensive, and it resulted in lots and lots and lots of data. And it was very open. It was available on the website. It was sent out to all employees. Everybody who wanted to participate could participate. Here's one page from the report. You see on one side the list of all the potential indicators of success that we could have chosen. And then you see all of the numbers in the columns there and the ranking. The starred items are the ones that most people felt were important. So for this particular data set, that's what ended up in our plan, choosing what's most important, what mattered to the people of Manor. Here's the complete set of stakeholder participation. So thousands and thousands of people participated in multiple ways. There was lots of opportunity. You see in the middle there another set of surveys where we gathered even more data from particular sets of stakeholders, parents, employees, students, district departments, how they serve schools. So at the end of the day, this little graphic kind of gives you the picture in total. Everybody that participated in one way, in multiple ways. Some people participated in all of these, and some in only one. And the steering committee used 366 pages of feedback and recommendations to build the plan. So it was extensive. It took 5 months, and the final plan was brought to the board for approval in June of that year. This is what it looked like when I brought it forth that first night. These are my colors, clearly, not Manor's colors. So you'll see in a minute the branded version that's much more Manor-like. But these are the pieces and parts. The motto. What are we going to deliver? The mission. What are we going to do? The core values. That was a really important piece. What do we agree to own and believe together in our work every day towards realizing the vision of success? And then you see the 5-year goals under those 5 pillars: student success, people, service, innovation, and resources. So that's what it looked like when we brought it 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago actually now. Then it was branded. This is closer to what it looks like today with Manor's colors and stamp on it, but all the pieces are still there. You still see all the important parts at the top: motto, mission, core values that drive the work. You see those same 5 pillars, and you see the same goals. So what is it that we said that we would do? And how have we done that? If you think about the people pillar, those are our employees. What did we say that we were going to build? We wanted to build a great place to work where people would choose to work in Manor ISD. And that meant focusing on really important pieces like recruiting great people, retaining high performers, offering opportunities for development and growth. It also meant everybody pulling together as owners of student success. We all own that really important piece. So what have we done? Here are some of the most significant items from the Employee Engagement Survey. This survey is sent to all employees twice a year and has been since 2017. And these are the pieces that are connected to those goals on the strategic plan. And you can see how the needle's been moved. Every one of these items carries a 5-point maximum. And you can look across there and see what's been moved. And some of those are really important. Provides the support needed to accomplish my work objectives. That's what high performers want from their leaders. Provides feedback on my strengths as an employee. That's what high performers want from their leaders. Recognizes good performance. That's what high performers want from their leaders. So this survey is an opportunity for all employees to let their leaders know how they're doing at providing an environment where they can do their best work, their most productive work. That's what it takes for our employees to move us toward the goal. Without the people, we wouldn't hit any of these goals. Why does that matter to our bottom line? Highly engaged employees, get us these wins. Increased customer satisfaction. Our customers are parents and student success. That's what we're after. Reduced absenteeism. People come to work more often if they're engaged, trust their leader, feel like their leader listens to them. The one in the middle, I think, is one of the most important ones. Reduced employee turnover. Anytime we can keep our employees and our high performers in particular, we are winning. Better results and better productivity. People are working better because they feel like they're in a great place to work. So those are the wins that we get from moving the needle on the people pillar. So what else did we say we would do?
Before you move on from the people pillar, do you actually assess those actual outcomes?
Mm-hmm.
So is that, because I didn't see that in the presentation. Like, so if we go back one slide, the actual outcome of the increased satisfaction with parents and students, what is the rate of absenteeism we started versus now, reduced, what was the turnover then, what's the turnover now? Do you have those?
I don't have those in the presentation. I have the student engagement results,
Okay.
employee engagement results, and parent satisfaction results.
I was just wondering, because, I mean, what I know of educators and surveys is that feeling like you have the autonomy of knowing that you're truly anonymous with any employee.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we figure if Facebook can tell me what I wanted to order, in Boots, that you know who sent it. So I was wondering if you had data on the actual.
Yeah, the parent, the student, and the employees, we have all of that. We'll get to the parent and the student here shortly. And to your point about anonymity, all of those really are anonymous. They come directly from employees, parents, and students to our servers at Studer Education.
Yeah. Oh, no, I was just wondering if you had actual data on those outcomes, whether it's reduced absenteeism, whether we have a reduced turnover since we started, whether there's an increased results.
We know we have increased results, and we know we have customer satisfaction and employee engagement. I'm sure that we could retrieve the numbers on employee retention and absenteeism.
Okay.
They are not, I don't have a slide about that, but I feel sure that we can get that. So service. We serve students first. We also serve parents and the community. So we need to go back to that vision that was created. What did the people of Manor say they wanted? What was their vision for success? Part of that was meeting the needs of every individual child by having an engaging learning environment for them. Under that service pillar, that was working in partnership with parents, the community, employers in the community, focused on student achievement. So how did we do with that? Here are some items that are connected to the strategic plan from the parent satisfaction survey. Again, it's a 5-point scale. And again, you can see how the numbers have moved in the 2.5 years of the plan. I would call your attention to particularly the first item, number 7, and second item, number 12. Think about parents out in the community and what they're saying about Manor ISD. We want them to say, I recommend this school to other parents. We want them to say, I'm proud to have a child at this school. So we've moved the needle on those, along with item number 13, which is always a very important item, is are we sharing the good news with parents about their child? Are we contacting them when something positive has happened? Here's the student engagement survey. Here are a few of those items. These, again, are strongly attached to the goals in the Manor strategic plan. One of the things that's important to kids, and that the needle's been moved on, is my family is treated with respect at this school. That's important to the students. I receive feedback regularly about my academic progress, really critical, and I have opportunities to be successful. That's really sort of measuring hope. I have hope for my future, and I have opportunities to be successful. So let's look at the next one. The next one, we've already heard a bit about this tonight from other presenters. This pillar is pretty unique to Manor. Most school districts who engage in a strategic plan and focus and target their work, they really are focused on student success, people, and service. But this innovation pillar, it's really unique to Manor, and this was probably the strongest part of the vision of success that came from the planning process. And so their definition of innovation involved some really important things, and you can see that in their goals there, that students experience a unique, personalized education. That was important. And it needed to be tied to what's over in pillar number 1, student success, that they're ready. At the end of their time here in Manor, that they're ready for college or career. They're going to be successful. They also wanted it to include extracurricular activities that allowed children to be what they wanted to be who they wanted to be, and focus on that whole child. So I just pulled out a few that I've been tracking for a while. Early childhood education, the movement that this district has made, the focus on fine arts, and this is only 3. I bet if I asked you guys to all shout out, you could probably shout out 3 or 4 or 10 yourself, and so could a lot of the people who are sitting here. These are just 3 examples of the ways that Manor has really taken seriously this idea of innovation to meet this vision that people asked for 2.5 years ago. And the last one, resources. Are we really careful and clear when choosing our curriculum resources? Do they really meet the needs and hit the mark for our students? And how are we doing with our stewardship of our financial resources and other resources? Again, you've already heard about some of this tonight. So what about that financial rating? What about all the choices? I understand this got postponed due to weather, and you're now going to have it on Wednesday night. Cool. That's important. That is maximizing the use of our resources. How about all of the distinctions that have occurred? The energy efficiency programs that have saved the district money that can then be reallocated. How about the CTE program certifications, the graduation rate? And how about that bond passage? How about that? That would not happen if we were not good stewards. That would not have happened if this community didn't have faith in the work that this district is doing, if they didn't feel like their vision was coming true. They wouldn't have done that. So let's go back to the first pillar, student success. That is the core business of every school district. Every other pillar that you see, people, service, innovation, resources, they only exist to support pillar number 1, student success. That's the main thing. Keeping the main thing the main thing. So those 2 goals were really pretty simple. Every kid leaves college or career ready, and every kid gets their individual needs met. So how are we doing on that? You see those 2 goals, a shorter version of them at the top, and I want to take you back to the overall student engagement score. So you can see that over the years, it's wobbled a little bit, but it's hovered, and if we average it all together, it would be above 4.0 out of 5. I can tell you that that's pretty high compared to districts around the country who do this work and take this survey. It benchmarks at the 75 to 80 percentile ranking, which is very, very good for a mean in student engagement. And how about all of these other great successes? How about an 89 on a 100-point scale? How about a 91 for college, career, and military readiness? What about 22 state distinctions up from 13? And look at how they're moving the needle on 5th grade achievement, increasing the percentages of students who are approaching, who are meeting, who are exceeding. Here are some others. Early college, high school enrollment. Look at the increase from 2017 to 2019. That's tied to that goal that the people of Manor said, promise me you'll do this. This matters to me. Percentage of graduates who are TSI complete from 6 to 22%. 65% of the 17-18 upperclassmen completed a dual credit course. Almost a 20-point increase from the year before. And how about the robotics in elementary school? Over 200 kids participating. Those are huge, huge moves. This doesn't happen by random acts of improvement. This happens by targeting, by having a plan, and by sticking to the plan, which is sometimes really hard to do. So why has this success been possible? I would say, first of all, good leadership. Dr. Avery and the leaders, the support of the board, they've driven these improvements. When this first started, and I first met Dr. Avery early in 2017, and I was describing the inclusiveness and how that really mattered in a strategic plan process, I can tell you that there are other superintendents around the country that have balked at that. Dr. Avery said, go for it. Go for it. Blow the doors off. Open it up. Let's make it as big as we can. And you saw from those participation numbers, it was big. It was big. The night that we had the parents and community members here, we had so many people here we thought we weren't going to be able to fit everybody in the room. That's how many people showed up to participate. It was well advertised, people were encouraged, and people had faith that their ideas would be included in the plan. And so they were. So good leadership has been huge in making these successes happen. Solid processes. And we've constantly worked on that with leader development and how do we make our processes tighter, more effective, more efficient. Because that doesn't happen by itself either. Focus on a few meaningful goals. You saw there are only 10. There are only 10. So the questions that the leaders have to ask, and they have to come to you and talk about, when a new shiny object comes along, there are lots of new shiny objects coming along all the time that want our attention, our time, our money, and our resources. But if we're tight with our strategic plan, we have to ask ourselves, is it aligned? Does it fit with our goals? If not, too bad that it's new and shiny. We got to pass it by. We got to stick to our goals. And so they've done that. And that's a hard thing to do. I know I've been in the superintendent's conference room. I call it an improvement board. I don't know what you call it, Dr. Avery, but I call it an improvement board where these ideas are up there. Those strategic plan goals are up there with data underneath them. How are we doing? How are we reaching this goal and that goal? That's that tight focus. The work around continuous improvement that's taken place in the past 2.5 years. Things like parent satisfaction, employee engagement, student engagement, those don't happen just randomly. Leaders have been learning very specific skill sets around how do we move those? How do we move parent satisfaction? How do we move employee engagement? How do we communicate in the right way? How do we make sure that we close the loop on communication with our stakeholders? So we've been working on those continuous improvement practices and tightening them up. Things like rounding on employees and results rollout, being very transparent. Part of this has also been learning to measure, monitor, and adjust. If we're measuring and we're monitoring and something's not working, we stop doing it. Take that action off the plate. Get a different action. That's also a tight process. This is an important key too. Willing to face the brutal facts and work on really hard issues. Is the plan finished? No. Are we all the way there to all 10 goals? No. We still got work to do. But we got 2.5 more years on this plan. We're only halfway finished. So we keep going, and part of that going is owning brutal facts and working on hard issues, and this team has done that. We've also taught a lot of leadership skills and district-wide practices and reward and recognition. It's important to recognize people for the hard work that they do. And that has been happening in big ways because that's what people said they wanted. That was part of the vision for success, was reward and recognition. I've been to a number of these board meetings, and it takes place every time I'm here. We saw it tonight. Reward and recognition for good work. And keeping the main thing, all in support of student success. And I think maybe the final why is honoring that promise to the stakeholders. Staying true to what students and parents and employees and community members said 2.5 years ago. Holding the line on that promise to them and honoring them. I think that's made a big difference. These people matter. They are the heart. They're why we're here. So honoring their vision is what we have to do. We are only halfway there, so let's keep going. I want to thank you for the support that you've shown for the strategic plan over the past 2.5 years. And I ask you to support us for another 2.5 years so we can get this thing finished. We're going to finish strong in 2022, and we will complete the plan. So I thank you for your time tonight. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
So I have one question. Can you provide us with the data on the people surveys and the parent satisfaction surveys of how many actually took those surveys?
Sure. Absolutely.
Love to look at that data.
Mm-hmm. For the parents?
And the people survey.
Okay. I can do that. Sure.
And then I think that Ms. Thomas wanted to see the employee turnover rate.
Employee retention and
Absentee.
and absentee and rate employees. Okay.
So what you listed as outcomes, I want to see if, as much as possible, tangible evidence of what that looks like versus the numbers we had before and what we have now.
Okay.
The surveys are amazing for the 583 people who take it. But we service 10,000 people. So we want to make sure that we have solid data to be able to look at.
Okay. We'll do that.
I just want to say, KK, thank you for, engaging our leadership team and principals and teachers, actually. We've done a lot of customer service training as well. I mean, your company has done a super job of keeping the main thing and making sure that you keep us focused. And so we want to thank you for that as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll now move to information item B, monthly financial report.
My turn again. Welcome again, or good to see you again. We are at October now, 4 months in, and let's see. I do have a presentation for our audience. We're moving steadily. We're about almost exactly where we were 4 months last year, or year over year. Again, we don't have our taxes in. Our taxes should start coming in hopefully in December and January, but we are doing pretty good in our general fund. Food service is moving right along. They're a little bit under right now, but that's to be expected. That's about where they should be. And debt service looks awful because we had to pay our huge debt service payment for August without any tax revenue for that. But come January again, we'll be we'll be looking fund for debt service. And I don't know if you have any questions on the, pretty much a standard item. All right, thank you.
Any questions?
Nope. All right, thanks.
All right, we'll now move on to information, item C, adult meal price increase in January 2020. Mr. George Townsend.
Good evening, President Fisher, School Board. I apologize for coming today with bad news, but unfortunately it is a USDA and TDA requirement to charge adults at a higher rate than what we receive for the free lunch student. That free lunch reimbursement is now at $3.87, and it just became that August 1st. After plugging in everything, if you saw what I've attached, you'll see that now we have to charge above $3.87, and so unfortunately, to keep us from giving change back to adults, I'm recommending a $4 charge tonight. That's it. Are there any questions?
What's the surrounding areas?
Many of them, $3.90. Some of them are $4. Some of them are $3.75 like we are, but that is actually not allowed. They're going to have to be changing. So, but here's the good news. My plan is to go to $4 and stay there as long as possible. So I would anticipate that to be a year to maybe at least 2 years that we stay at that price. Okay? Any questions? Thank you.
All right, we'll now move on to board committee updates. I'm sorry, Fieldhouse construction update.
Gotta have you going there for a minute. We had Balfour here earlier, but their day starts pretty early in the morning, so I had to make Mackie go home. He'll be getting there. What Troy's handing out is our latest update. We always like to give you that because by the time that we submit your information, it's a little older, so we want to try to get you as much fresh, up-to-date information as possible. We're very close. Today we had our above ceiling inspection, just meaning that we've looked at all the mechanical systems above the ceiling. They'll be closing that ceiling up. Putting all things together, we're about 6 weeks probably away. We're getting very close, y'all. 6 weeks. Thanksgiving, we're going to be looking at the parking area around us here. Troy?
We'll also be doing a little bit of work out in front of the administration building. They're doing a value-added project out front and put the concrete across the front so we can keep the dirt out of the building as it was. Back to the field houses we're doing the plumbing fixtures and lighting, and the final finishes are going in right now. Claycomb's assisting the district to select the final furnishings and coordinate the install of the equipment as district provided. Looking forward, again, we were mentioning that we're striving to get as a team to substantial completion before Christmas. So that would allow you guys to get in the facility and begin to kind of prepare the facility. It'll still be about mid-January until we get 100% complete, but that'll be the transition time we can put all that final touches to the project.
Parking availability, we were anticipating getting pretty close, and I think we still will be on this back area here. Probably about 90%. When you come back from Thanksgiving break, you'll see there'll be some of that will be put in place, but it still won't be 100%.
So when was the original date for the gym to be complete?
January 14th is the substantial completion date as now.
I know, but what was the original one?
It was January 20th at one point.
Okay.
We're actually pulling it backwards as best we can. Now we're striving for the December 20th before Christmas time. And that's substantial completion.
Okay.
You have any questions about it? One thing...
I actually have a bunch of questions, but
okay.
It actually pertains to the change order.
Yes, sir.
And you gave that to us on the reply that Dr. Avery
yes, sir.
gave us. Some of the change orders items in there, I didn't understand why
Okay.
those weren't put into place when it was initially, thought of.
Oh, yeah, yes, sir.
We went back and we're making these changes, and it's taking up the contingency that we have for the district.
Yes, sir.
And I'm just sort of wondering, why don't we look at these things before we have to make a change order on them? I've never seen, well,
No, you're making perfect sense. Typically, you would have all those items covered. My understanding of not being at the very beginning of the process was to get to a certain budget goal. And by thinking that we had to reduce this cost to get to that, and...
well, we had something like 30, and I don't have it with me,
Mhm.
I apologize for that, but there were like $30-something thousand for hardware. I mean,
Mhm.
if we're going to make changes to hardware, I mean,
Mhm.
why such an increase in cost and signage?
Mhm.
And I just don't understand why we would even have a change order for signage.
The change order for signage was to illuminate the signage to meet more of the district standard to the senior high school. Oh, right, yes, sir, yes, sir, and we can explain to particulars. The signage around the district has been illuminated from the senior high school to the new tech and all, and the PTE building, so we're kind of bringing the standard up for illuminated signage.
Okay.
Well, to answer the question, at least on the hardware concern, that's where a hardware was selected, but what we were trying to do is go back and look at the standards within the district. And the standards within the districts were not met on the original design. So that's when we upgraded to the district standards. So we've had unity throughout the district with the same hardware.
Well, I can understand that, but...
But it should have been in the first
You go and take a look at what the district has initially, and then, okay, this is what we're going to budget to be put on there, not a change order to
Correct.
make corrections to it.
Right.
There's a lot of little things in there that just didn't make any sense to me.
I agree with you. From the standpoint of...
And I'll maybe after this, we can sit down and go over this,
Yes,
but,
sir.
not to take a lot of time.
Yes,
But I
sir.
just don't understand where we have a design for a building, it's ready to go, the architect has stamped it, it's ready, it's starting to do the work, and now we got change orders coming out left and right in order to make modifications to something that should have already have been put into concrete.
Now, Sam, I would say that most of the things you're discussing are betterment items, that we actually improve the quality and of the project, and that's why they were addressed. They do have the contingency funds available for bettering the project, and so they were assignments for that. So if we gladly talk through all those items with you, make sure that we're in agreement for future betterment items.
Well, when you design it, it should already be as how we need it, or how...
I would agree.
Jerry...
In the hardware category, it's an ever-changing standard, and that we're getting to the point where we actually have a district standard from communications between projects. So that's what we kind of brought that to that level after understanding what is better fits the district's needs. And a lot of it's technology-based hardware, and that's a very expensive item that comes in. So it seems like a large number for a few items, but that's the advancement with the technology is access controls.
Well, maybe we can talk about...
There is a good time for discussion, because there is items that do warrant attention.
I've seen change orders come around.
Yes, sir.
And some are self-explanatory.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But others, I don't get it.
Well, no,
I just don't get it.
Yes, sir, we can definitely talk through that. Yes, sir. Now, in addition to the item of the field house, we had a secondary page here for the secured entry vestibule to kind of keep you updated on that. This is a very fast-paced project, so you may get one, possibly two updates throughout this year. But this kind of gives you an idea. The back page gives you an example of what the buildings are going to be like to allow you to kind of get an idea of what the project scope was in the 6 schools.
Before we move on to that, I just want clarity. So you're saying there hasn't been any major delays in the project with the field house?
No, ma'am, we're actually ahead of schedule. In fact,
Yes.
yes, ma'am. We're doing quite well in coordinating with the district-provided items. That's been our most recent focus, is to get those items that the districts assign themselves to provide, the furnitures, the bleachers, and a few of the other items within the district, the field house, that we're coordinating with them to make sure they get the utilities they need and the orders and delivery on time.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, folks, for your time.
All right, now we'll move on to board committee updates. Who would like to start?
I'll start. Policy committee, the policy committee received the GKD for review. Police department proposal policies will be reviewed at our next meeting. Updated 114 is under review to come before us as well.
So the Manor Academic Committee, we're meeting December the 9th at 5 p.m. We're also looking at the educational theory and policy, but also looking at coming to the rest of the board, looking at what our educational needs are and mapping out our top goals to make sure that we're in line as a board to where our goals are. So that is our mission.
Safety and security meeting, board members, you just got an email this evening from Carla on a recommended meeting for discussion of the Manor ISD Police Department workshop for December 3rd at 5:30. Please, if you can, respond of your availability for that.
Facilities committee, we literally talked about the GKD local that was brung to the policy committee, and bringing that back so that we can move forward on that. The update that you guys just got regarding the actual field house, that's pretty much it.
No, I'm good.
I have a parent engagement steering committee. Baker Elementary hosted a parent forum on Wednesday, November 13th. We would like to thank Principal Ms. Hall and parent liaison Kitty Mercado, and the Baker Elementary staff, parents, and students, and PTA Association. Federal and State Programs Department hosted a PTA Central Office. Thank you, Manor. They did a membership drive on November 1st and 15th. They gave away hot cocoa and popcorn. And this brought in 35 new PTA members. This goes into PTA members. Yes, I'm looking at you, sir. Please see Dr. Bannon. We have over 48 volunteers support our campus for the month of October for a total of 480 hours. If you are interested in being an approved volunteer, visit our website to sign up. We would love to have you support our students. Toys for Tots is quickly approaching, and parents have been given an opportunity to register. On December 11th, at the Lions Club, toys will be distributed to those families that registered. The parent liaisons and parents from each campus, Title I campus, will attend the Title I Parent Engagement Conference in San Marcos on December 12th through the 14th. Manor IUC staff and a few board members will attend as well. The next parent forum will be held on December the 5th at Lagos Elementary from 6 to 7. We welcome all to join us.
Okay, I think that completes the board committee updates. Dr. Avery, did you have anything? Okay. We'll now move on to action items. Consideration and approval of resolution by the Board of Trustees of Manor Independent School District establishing the district's intention to reimburse itself for the prior lawful expenditure of funds from the proceeds of tax-exempt obligations to be issued by district for authorized purposes and other matters in connection therewithin. Presenter, Dr. Dan Vera.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, board members and Superintendent Avery. Tonight, we have a special speaker that's going to explain a little bit to you about how this resolution works. We are interested and grateful for the community's faith they put into us by approving this bond, and we want to touch as many campuses as possible, and we want to show folks that their faith in us as a school district and administration is not misplaced. And so there's a way to do that as quickly as we can, and Mr. Humberto Aguilera is going to explain a little bit of that to you.
Good evening, President Fisher, board members, Dr. Avery, Humberto Aguilera with Escamilla and Ponick, serving as the district's bond counsel. First and foremost, again, congratulations on the resounding bond election. Huge percentage voted in favor for the bond, and that's a testament to the leadership here at the district. And that brings us to the item before the board, which is a reimbursement resolution. State and federal law allow a district and other bond issuers to spend lawfully available funds before bonds are issued, and then once bonds are issued, they can go back and reimburse themselves. Federal tax law, though, requires a formal declaration by the governing body. So that's what this matter is before the board. The resolution serves as that formal declaration. So that's really it. It's just a legal technicality, if you will, but it does provide the opportunity for the district, flexibility to the district if an opportunity arises or if they want to get started on a particular bond project. You can go ahead and do that, and once you issue the bonds down the road, because that does take some time and coordinated efforts to issue bonds, you can then at that time do that. So that's simply what it is. Just a declaration of the intent, giving the district the flexibility to reimburse yourself at a later time with bond proceeds. I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have about the item, though.
I'll make a motion to accept item 7A as presented.
I have a motion from Mr. Samaripa. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second from Ms. Cortez. All in favor? Record show it passes.
Thank you very much,
Thank
and
you very
congratulations again.
I just want to say thank you. You and your firm have done an excellent job of guiding, administration in the district, and the 2016 bond package, you were able to kind of help guide that, but we're looking forward to your leadership and guidance in this $280 million as well. So thank you, and we appreciate all the work you do.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to action item B, consideration and or approve a resolution for the formation of school district police department. Dr. Bear again.
All right, sir. We'll make it through these really quickly. I want to ask Mr. Markham to join me up here at the podium. Mr. Markham has been spearheading the efforts to get the police department underway. I'm going to give him an opportunity to speak with you about this resolution, but the Texas Commission of Law Enforcement has several things that we have to do to be able to have employed a police officer and create a police force, and Mr. Markham is going to explain a little bit more about that to you.
Good evening, President Fisher, Dr. Avery, board members. So the resolution is simply you signing your life agreement. No, it's just an official recognition from the board stating that the district is pursuing this officially, and that's one of a long list of items that we have to turn in with our application. So that's the first official step, and meanwhile we've been working every day to work on getting all the other steps ready to be able to turn that application in and keep moving forward.
So where's it going to be, Ryan? Where's it going to be located?
The physical location? You'll learn all about that during the workshop on December 3rd.
Okay.
Good try. Good job.
Yeah, he did. All right. I'll accept a motion to consider or approve resolution for formation of a school district police department. I have a motion from Ms. Thomas. Do I have a second? A second from Ms. Cerna. All in favor? Passes 6-0.
Yes.
All right.
I'd like to say that was, I think that was Janie's, brainchild a while back, and, it was great. Thank you, Janie, that was very good.
I want to thank the board as well for supporting this, because this means a lot to our students and our families. You know, you send your child to school, and you want to make sure they come home with a parent. So, thank you very much, board, staff, and everybody that, supported this.
All right, I'll entertain, well, hold on, we actually have our next, meeting, regular called, scheduled meeting, December the 16th. And then we're gonna have a meeting on
Board workshop bond on Thursday.
Thursday.
Oh, I can't be here.
This Thursday?
I can't,
Did we receive that?
well, I have an American Legion meeting at 7 on Thursday.
You starting early, so you probably come?
I'll be here, but at 7, I gotta leave.
Gotta cut out.
And hopefully, we may be done by 7.
I'm sorry.
What time does it
What,
start?
5:30? Start at 5:30, and so this is gonna give an opportunity to kind of,
Yeah,
prioritize, projects, those types of things, we'll be discussing.
okay.
Okay. All right.
And we have a playoff football game on
Right.
Friday night
Friday.
in Reno at 7:30.
College Station.
Wow.
7:30.
5:30.
7:30.
And a big basketball game tomorrow night against Westlake in Westlake. In Westlake. Yes.
Basketball?
Yeah, so bring your popcorn.
Against Westlake?
In Westlake. Varsity plays at 7:30.
What kind of?
Where is it gonna be at, Wesley?
Westlake. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
A motion from Ms. Cortez, got a second from Ms. Thomas. All in favor? The record show, meeting adjourned.